thank you everyone for joining our third installment of how the green industry is responding to COVID-19. This will be hopefully our final installment here, as we're seeing, some parts of the company, starting to try to get back to normal and rates of infection going down. But of course, if things take a turn, we'll come back to these, but we are going to continue doing these webinars with panels of our customers as well in the future, because we've got a lot of good response from this. Great. So we've got some amazing panelists with us today. We've got Jarrett Myers with Capital Land Management, Steve Chisholm with Aspen Tree Experts, Tom and Rich with Heritage Lawn and Landscape Care, and then Josh Marotta with Atlanta Arbor. So what I'd like to do to get started is just to go around the group and get just some brief introductions. And we'll go as your name's listed here. So Jarrett, would you mind kicking us off?
Sure. My name is Jarrett Myers. I'm with Capital Land Management out of Central Florida, really Tampa, Lakeland, Orlando, all across Central. And I'm happy to be here, and thanks for inviting me.
Thanks, Jarrett. Steve, you're next.
Okay. Steve Chisholm with Aspen Tree Expert Co in Jackson, New Jersey, which is a little suburb right in dead center of the state. So I'm about an hour from ground zero, if you will, as all things are hitting here in New Jersey. We do all phases of tree care, and I've been serving the area for about 44 years now.
Great. Tom and Rich?
Yes, Tom Bechtel here with Rich. I'm the owner of Heritage Lawn and Landscape. Rich is my point person for SingleOps and been very involved, and we're kind of new users of SingleOps, but we're in South Central Pennsylvania, kind of maybe the 5th largest state in number of cases, but we've been fortunate all along to be able to continue to work. We've never had a work shutdown, and I've told my crews that we are thankful and feel blessed every single day that we can come to work, and we don't take that lightly because we know there's a number of businesses around us that can't work. So we've had that attitude all along, and most of our clients have been very pleased to see us come out. And again, we're thankful that we can work every single day.
Yep, and we have about 6 lines of business, just to throw that in there. We 3 spray services, vegetation management, control, tree care, and lawn care, and then high labor with landscaping, seeding, aeration, and tree surgery.
Well, that's great. Thanks for the intro. And that's awesome. You guys have been able to kind of stay operational like that. So last but not least, Josh.
Josh Marotta, Atlanta Arbor. We're based out of Marietta, Georgia, just outside of 285, so north of Atlanta, 30-mile radius. So we service all of Metro Atlanta. We've been in business since 2014. Haven't really had any effects from the COVID shutdown. We were listed as essential. We actually got letters from the city, as well as some of our contractors labeling us as essential. We do right-of-way clearing for hazards and safeties around the city of Atlanta for the city. So we're fortunate to keep everything running as an essential business throughout all this. Haven't seen anybody or had anybody related to our business affected. But we've gotten some mixed reviews depending on what area of Atlanta we've worked in. Some people aren't happy to see our business out there running. We've had Homeland Security show up on watch our guys working. So, but we haven't had any issues as far as slowing down as of late. We do anything tree related here in the Metro Atlanta area: planting, removals, trimming, fert, pest treatments.
Great. I mean, you already brought up an interesting point, Josh, about people upset seeing your crews out there working. I'm wondering, other panelists, have you guys experienced that at all?
Yeah.
Oh, and go ahead. Go ahead, Jarrett.
No, we haven't experienced anything yet. Sorry.
We've only had a handful here in New Jersey. Most of the people have been pretty cooperative. We had a couple people cancel on us that, didn't want to have anybody in their yard because they were concerned. But most people have still been willing to work with you and are kind of happy to just see a human being out in the yard.
Yeah. I would echo that same concern. We expected to see some kickback and some standoffishness, but I'd say zero of that has happened. In fact, it's been the other way. Our clients have been very pleased to see us. They're glad to see that we're still operating. very glad to see us come take care of their property. Almost no rebuffing in any manner. I was actually surprised.
I don't know if anybody has an area like East Atlanta or Moreland Avenue down in that area, East Atlanta Village area. They're very millennial and irate, screaming, telling us we shouldn't be working and why are we working during this time? We should be inside and everything else. But other than that pocket of Atlanta, everybody else has been pretty receptive. People call in asking, hey, are y'all still open? Are y'all able to run? But there's one area of Atlanta where they're a little bit more aggressive as far as their stance on things.
I'm familiar with that area, so what you're going through there.
Right.
So what we're going to jump to right now is our first audience poll. And basically, some of the panelists have already kind of hit on this, but we're curious for everyone, how does this spring compare with last year's spring thus far? Essentially, the amount of jobs you're working on and how busy your team is, doing productive work. So Ty's going to run that poll. Ty, give me a thumbs up or just let me know when you've got that running, and then I'll go on to the question for the panelists.
Yeah, it's up and running, and we'll let it stay open for about a minute, and then I'll launch the results.
Cool. All right. Well, as he's doing that, we're going to go on to this question, pretty much the same question for our panelists. And so we'll go down the list. But basically, how has your spring compared to last year? But then also, what's your current outlook on the state of the industry, especially as it pertains to your business and your area. So Jarrett, why don't we start with you?
Sure. We're a full service company, so we service all lines of industry in Florida. We've been busier. Our maintenance has upticked a lot. I believe we're about 16% up on sales and contract maintenance right now. And we've been very busy as far as getting bids to come in. So that's definitely a plus. I would say the only downside to what's happening so far is our landscape installation side for customers. They kind of the irrigation's going strong, but the landscape side is kind of on the down a little bit this year. It's down about 20% from last year.
Do you feel like those projects are just delayed and they'll pick back up later in the year? Or do you think that's ultimately going to be lost business?
No, I really do think they're going to be delayed. It really depends how long this takes place and how long the economy gets back. We do a lot of HOAs. We're all commercial, so we do a lot of HOAs and CDDs within our area, and we're afraid that it hasn't hit yet as far as the HOA dues go, but because they do have reserves. But I think we're going to see this, how it looks at us in October, November is when we're really going to see what's going to happen to our industry. I think we're a little early on it right now.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that too. Well, Steve, same question to you.
Well, we're down a little bit as far as the phones go, but thankfully the weather had cooperated earlier on. So January, February, and even March were above average temperatures, and we had 0 snow. So we were able to kind of go full bore, and we did have a good backlog going into the winter, which helped. So by the time this all got, really fired up in our area, it's only really been a little over a month and a half, I guess. So now we've eaten through that backlog, and the phones are kind of, on again, off again. So one day they're really busy, the next day they're kind of down. Part of it's because the weather, because now actually April is the first month that's been below average, and now they're calling for May to do the same thing. So I'm not sure if it's more weather related, but also, people are gun shy. If you're not sure if you're going to have an income, you're not sure you're going to have a job, everybody can't work from home. The longer this drags out, people are, should I spend the money? Shouldn't I spend the money? There's always those upper income folks that have the money, they can work from home, and they figure, hey, if I'm not taking a vacation, like some of the other guys that already said, they're spending their money on their yard, and that's great. But there's, other people that are living paycheck to paycheck, and trees are not necessarily an essential thing if you're worried about food.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good point on kind of the different income brackets and how they're responding. Did you see any change in calls coming in or orders once the stimulus check started rolling out?
Not for us, but then again, all those stimulus checks haven't gone to everybody yet either. So
That's right.
Right.
Well, cool. Good info. Tom and Rich, same question to you guys.
Yeah, kind of an interesting response to this one. We clicked on the poll about the same, but about the same rate now. If you'd have rolled back about 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, when we got our season started, we were going like gangbusters. We had our best year ever last year with growth and with the strong economy. We started out this year. Renewals were real strong. New sales were strong. We were up a good 10% even over last year's excellent performance in early March. And then about mid-March, when the shutdowns started to happen, it continued on still fairly strong. But by about April 1st, we noticed lesser and lesser appointments for our salesmen, less new sales, especially less big contracts being decided on, especially like in landscaping. We were still selling and still to this day sell a lot of lawn programs where it's $95 to $125 per visit lawn care, and people were still taking that. But anything bigger, $2,000, $6,000, $8,000 landscape jobs, people were being cautious and saying, I'm going to wait. So where we started out gangbusters in March, over the last 6 weeks, I've been watching weekly and weekly, where finally just last week we bottomed out where we are now dead even with last year's revenue at this point in time. And I'm fully anticipating that those two lines are going to go apart in the opposite direction, where we're going to start slipping below last year's performance. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be very, very pleased if we end this year with zero growth over last year. I would be content actually if we stay at least the level we were. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I would think that'd be a good outcome. So hopefully the curves kind of stabilize there for you.
Right.
Really good info. All right, Josh, same question to you.
So I don't know if everybody's familiar with Georgia's weather this year, but January and February, we were getting ready to build arcs instead of cutting down trees. We had more rain in the first 2 months of this year than we had all year last year. So tree industry was not in a good spot January, February. So we were down as far as numbers went for January, February overall, just because of inability to work. We couldn't do anything. It seemed like 3 to 4 out of 7 days every single week it would rain, and it was always sunny on Sunday. And then sure enough, Monday through Thursday it was pouring, and then we'd get Friday, and then we'd have guys run Saturday. So first couple months were bad just because of rain, but as far as business call-ins and volume that we were actually selling, we just couldn't do production. But sales numbers were similar through the first 2 months. Come March, we actually outperformed last year by about 10% as far as what I did and what my sales team was doing, what we were looking at. So I haven't seen an effect. A lot more of our repeat clients are calling to have stuff done. Phone numbers were almost non-existent for new client call-ins. We weren't getting a ton of new business for people wanting stuff that we hadn't seen before, but repeat customers were going like gangbusters. Commercial was flying. So yeah, we've performed well as far as March and then going into April. And as soon as they announced they were going to start opening things up, I think Ohio was first to say that they were opening up, Texas, and then, Georgia came out, and then Trump said he was letting everybody, kind of make their own call on opening back up. Then our phones just went from, 3 to 5 a day to 30 to 40 a day call-ins to the office. So as soon as people heard that things were going to go back to normal, it just went off the hook.
Yeah. Really good info. I mean, if I'm to pick a trend out of this, or at least kind of learn something, it seems that the kind of typical patterns of business as it relates to weather, in some cases, maybe even stronger than the response that people are providing from, kind of the recent, everything with coronavirus. And so if we're to kind of look at this moving forward, I mean, our industry is obviously always very affected by weather. And so I would say that's a good sign that, that is in some cases being even more pronounced than the impacts from people responding to COVID-19. So really good feedback from everyone. Ty, is the poll ready to share? Can people see that?
Yeah, it should be up to where they can see it. Can you see it, Sean?
I can. I just pulled it to my screen, but So yeah, it looks like the majority of respondents are slightly less busy. But I mean, this is great to see that way less busy is the least commonly selected option here. And in some cases, some people have been busier than last year. So, small sample size, but I would say this is a pretty optimistic, view here, especially as we look at things moving forward.
I have heard from a lot of people who are smaller companies, startups or guys that, one crew or two crew companies, that they were extremely affected just due to they're dependent on new business call-ins. So they depend on the phones ringing come springtime, and they weren't ringing. Like I said, I didn't have a lot of the new business call-ins, but a lot of the repeat stuff being established. So a lot of those small companies I know were affected a lot more than I was, just based on not having a good client following and depending on the new client acquisition coming in, and they weren't getting that. Yeah,
I could definitely see that being a much more challenging time if you're smaller or even trying to start
right
in our industry.
Yeah.
Well, cool. All right. Well, so we've already kind of talked about this a little bit about some states already starting to reopen some of their businesses. So this will be our next audience poll. So Ty is going to run this. Please respond and tell us how you feel about that. Us, SingleOps being based out of Atlanta, Georgia, our Governor Kemp seems to be
hot topic.
Yeah, he's on the cutting edge, or the leading edge on reopening parts of the state. But it seems like a lot of other states are following suit, and there's a lot of mixed reactions there. So we'd love to get what our audience, but also our panelists feel about this. How you feel about your state in particular reopening businesses right now. So Jarrett, we'll start with you. What's your perspective on this for you and your business?
Sure. I think I'm all for reopening. I really I think a lot of this is just opinion. Obviously, is blown out of proportion. I do think it's a serious virus. I do think it is a virus. So it's going to be around forever. You're not going to stop it. We did slow the curve. It is going down in our state in Florida. DeSantis had a really good speech yesterday when he talked about, he's going to monitor for the first time what this, what is being affected, not just how many people are being affected, but how they're being affected. So if we had 2,000 new cases because we opened partially up, how many of those are hospitalizations versus, just regular contracting the virus that are having no complications? So do we really want to shut down the economy for people that contract the virus that are not having complications for the majority? Mm-hmm. It's very mixed emotions there for a lot of people. And I think I'm all for opening it up. We didn't open fully. I wish we did like Georgia, but that's just my opinion. Well, I think we're about 2 to 3 weeks away from that.
Mm-hmm. Well, cool. Really great feedback. And we love hearing your perspective there. So Steve, what about you guys?
Well, thankfully, as far as our business goes, we were never shut down. We are an essential business like the rest. So we've continued on and only missed 1 day of work, and that was due to weather, which is normal anyway. Outside of that, obviously, we've had to cope with other things. But as far as the state opening, I don't think they should have ever closed, and that's probably controversial, especially being up here in the Northeast. I wish they would reopen. I would go out to dinner tonight. I would go get a haircut tonight. I would go to a hotel tonight. I would get on an airplane tomorrow and fly to Georgia or Florida and spend my money tomorrow. Unfortunately, I am in one of the most oppressive regions in the nation, and we will be one of the last ones to open. So, I'm kind of, I guess you can figure where I'm at. Yeah, I don't care. I think it's been overblown, and we just need to be safe and cautious and do the right thing. But at the same time, you're doing a lot of damage here, and it just needs to stop.
Yeah. Well, I definitely second the desire to go get a haircut. Now, I will say that our panelists, you guys, none of you need one nearly as bad as I do. So that's why I
don't know about that
today. You guys are all pretty well groomed.
Hey, let's be careful there.
So the salon in the basement has been a big plus during all this.
Oh, yeah. Has Beth been helping the office giving haircuts?
No, my wife's a hairdresser, so she's been we have a salon in the basement, so she's been doing my hair.
Oh, really? All right.
And all the neighbors have been lining up to come into our house.
Yeah, I'm going to email you after this and book an appointment.
There you go.
Well, great.
I'm going to bring back my 1980s mullet. That's coming back.
Well, cool. So same question, Tom and Rich. Would love to hear y'all's perspective.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement with the guys before us here. We're all for it. It's a little maybe disingenuous because we have been open. We haven't been shut down, but I absolutely have talked to a number of neighboring business owners just one last evening that are just absolutely devastated because they can't be open, and it's causing some severe anguish. And for their reasons, I really want to see us open up, but obviously be sensible about it. I wish we would let business owners who have to be responsible people to begin with to have a business make those tough decisions to protect their workers, protect their clients. Let each business decide to what measures they need to go to conduct their business and avoid exposure. I mean, I think every business has some angle that they can pursue their business and be compliant with all of the edicts that our governors and president have put out there. Let us make that tough call and do the right thing, not just shut us down. And so for all the other business owners that are struggling, I wish we could just open up fully and let them decide. But again, it's masked to us personally because we've not been shut down one single day. We've been able to operate and very thankful to do so. But I feel the pain of those that can't. But
Yeah, I would just add that for us, or at least for myself in Pennsylvania, it feels a bit arbitrary into what is considered essential, what is considered emergency, that, who gets exemption and who doesn't to continue doing business. Just on a personal level interaction, you have people are still going to the store, convenience stores, grabbing food. We're coming into contact with people all the time. And the idea of shutting down all the businesses because of that, there's just too many exceptions and too many things that are considered essential for it to, maybe it's helped flatten the curve and everything. But from an economic standpoint, I think it's had, a very, very negative impact.
Yeah, well, great perspectives. Josh, are you in agreement with the group, or how do you feel?
Yeah, I am. I'm just a little bit more hardcore than everybody probably, so I'm going to try to rein it back in some. But I would be with Steve. I'd go on a cruise today if I could. The fact that Home Depot is an essential business and you can go and be there with 100 other people, but you can't go to church and, worship is a crock to me. But, the whole thing with the government forcing a business to pretty much tank their sole, not just theirs, but hundreds of employees, you're forcing me to put people on welfare or put them out of work or, make them unemployed based on proper hygiene. Like, I just don't get it. The whole thing's hard for me to conceptualize how they did this and how they can force this upon everyone. And if you don't do it, then you're looked at as, like I said, the people in East Atlanta bashing us when we're out there removing limbs that could potentially kill people, fall on people, hit cars, hit pedestrians, whatever. And I got people yelling at us for why are we working? I'm here trying to protect your safety, but yet you don't see a problem that Home Depot's open so you can go do your mulch while you're on lockdown. How is that essential, but keeping you safe is not? Or, getting to go pray and, your religion of choice is not essential, but, Chick-fil-A is open. But how do you justify that?
Yeah, all really good points. I think this perspective is valuable, not just for our industry, but as a country of the whole. We've got 5 companies right here. 4 companies, 5 panelists that their business is allowed to be open. And it seems like an agreement that you guys want other businesses to be open to. And I think
you know what it's like to be a business owner, and to see other businesses struggling for no reason is infuriating.
Yeah. And it looks like if we looked at the audience poll questions and results. So Ty, are you able to make sure that we can all see that?
Yeah, they're up.
Yeah, we can see it.
Great. It looks like, there's a little bit of a consensus here with our audience as well, and that majority are for it, but want to be cautious. There's a good amount that are all for it. And then there's some that says, seems like it's too soon. So there are some folks that, are a bit more hesitant, but there's no one that's totally against it. And then some that it looks like their state's actually moving in the opposite direction. So maybe not as much of a consensus now as we read through this. There are definitely people and kind of mixed reactions to it. But I do think that everyone brings a unique perspective as being a business owner and running a business. Some would be considered a small business in the whole scheme of things, and the stresses that brings, and also having empathy for other small business owners. So.
Yeah, Sean, it looks like we have a question too, and some of the panelists have typed a response, but Grant in the audience has asked if any of the panelists have had any employees contract COVID.
Yeah, this was actually something that I asked prior to us starting, but panelists, have you had any employees contract coronavirus as of yet?
Not yet.
No, none here.
Yeah.
Not that we know. I mean, maybe they have it and they're asymptomatic, to be honest.
True.
If we go that route, I might have had it back in November, but hey, who knows?
My wife thought she had it in December based on the symptoms.
Yeah.
She went for strep and flu test twice and didn't have anything, but had all the symptoms and didn't know what it was. And it just eventually went away.
There's some pretty credible studies, one that came out of Stanford as well, that saying that this has been around for quite a lot longer than we initially realized. So a lot of that could be true. I'd be curious too, anyone, any audience members, if you have had any of your business contract this that you know of, definitely let us know. We'd love to kind of, learn more about how you handled that. All right. So it looks like we're about at 11:30. So panelists, if any of you need to leave, please feel free to. But a couple other questions, no more audience polls, but a couple other questions that we like to ask if we wrap this up. This is a real big one because we've learned some really cool tactics and strategies from companies that we've done this with in the past. But basically, what's been the biggest win for you the past couple of weeks? It could be related to coronavirus, could be related to anything, but the biggest win for you guys in the past couple of weeks. I'm going to go in reverse order this time. So Josh, we'll start with you.
Everybody being at home, looking at their yard and realizing that they have so much stuff that they've been neglecting. So calling me saying, hey, these trees are just bothering me, because they're sitting at home every single day staring out at their yard, realizing that they need to address issues around the house.
So that's a great win. I'm sure a lot of others are experiencing that too. Tom and Rich, how about y'all?
I saw this question last night that you posed that you were going to ask, and I had to think about it for a while. But I think I would boil it down to the biggest win is knowing that, honestly, 0% of our customers were concerned that we were coming out, had no opposition to us coming out to do their services. And in fact, were overjoyed that we could come, and many of them saying, way to go, we're so glad you can keep working. America needs to keep working. We're glad you can keep working, and glad you're being successful. That just kind of blew me away. I was expecting kind of like our compatriot there in Atlanta getting some rebuffing here and there, but there's been absolutely zero of that. And so that, I'd say that's the biggest win, that our clientele, our community, our public is very, very supportive of us and wanting us to just go and keep going. Yeah. I'd say that's the biggest takeaway.
Yeah, I would just couple that with just the ability to continue to operate as a business.
Yeah, huge wins, and also good for your business to get that recognition from your customers. Steve, what about you guys?
Well, on a personal level, my yard looks better than it has in the last 5 years because I've had more free time. On the outside of that, yeah, just being able to work and, provide for the guys and just let them know that, hey, you guys are important. Your job is important. The public is counting on you to do some things, and just to be able to share with them, the opportunity that they have to make an impression on the public, because people are watching, because other people are home now. They're not, out doing their own thing. So they're especially noticing what you're doing in the neighborhood. So if you're doing a good job, if you're doing your safety protocols, if you're following, the COVID recommendations, people are noticing that. And we did have the opportunity to do some extra projects for our local utility company, because we do some utility work as well. We were taking down some extra trees down in proximity to all the local hospitals to make sure that if, God forbid, there were storms and things got worse and, people might be on ventilators. So, we just had an opportunity to build up the team a little bit there, and that was good.
That's great. I'm sure they're recognizing a lot of the best practices that you guys are performing out of coronavirus because they understand them. But I'm sure they don't understand all the great best practices that you abide by when it comes to tree care work. So just another good, I think, thing for your customers to recognize about your business. You guys are embracing best practice.
Yeah.
Cool. Jarrett, how about you?
Well, number one, I agree with Rich and Tom. I mean, I'm thankful to be our company is able to work in this, what's going on, and be essential. We're very happy for that. Number two, one of the biggest things, our job is to enhance the clients' communities, to try to build home values through the homes that we do. Like I said, we do mostly HOAs, and with everybody being home, and we constantly provide enhancement proposals, designs to the curb appeal. People are actually bringing these things up to attention to the communities, and where they didn't think it was important, and now they're seeing that it is important, because most people would drive by it every day, wouldn't notice it. Now they're walking, looking at their community as a whole, and now they're seeing how their community could be better. So yes, they're not spending money, but it is being brought to attention that there is money that needs to be spent to beautify the communities. So I think, like I said, like you had brought it before, I think down the road, hopefully the economy comes back strong and there's going to be a big spending spree. If it comes back to, economy comes back quickly, hopefully by October we'll be okay. If it keeps going the way it's going and we're in lockdown, it might not be so good. But the last thing is we actually started a residential fertilization and pest control company in February in the midst of all this. And we've actually seen we've actually grown to 160 customers in a few months. And it's been a blessing. And it's people are willing to spend money, but you have to, we as company owners have to realize that we have to go with the economy too. And if the economy's down, we got to figure out how to stay in business for ourselves. We have to go with the economy as well, and maybe adjust our business plan, how we're doing it, and our pricing models for our customers. And then it will all pay off in the end.
Well, that's awesome. I think a trend here is just the general recognition of the work that your business does, a lot of which may go on behind the scenes sometimes. That it's really being brought to the forefront with your customers. And so leveraging that in the future, I think would be, awesome. So I also kind of sense just a general optimism from the panelists as well, which is great to hear because there's just a ton of pessimism out there today. And so hearing that optimism from all you guys is, it feels great, and makes me feel good about the industry moving forward. So, all right, last question. And we'll roll through this and we'll start with Jarrett. So, what has been your most unexpected lesson learned?
I don't know if we've had an unexpected lesson learned. We were actually pretty blessed so far. I do have companies. I got a lot of friends in the business in our area. The biggest lesson I've learned from other businesses that are having issues is they're having employee issues right now. We have not had that issue with the stimulus package of the extra money coming from the government. A lot of them are not coming to work or quitting. And we have not had that issue because you're going to sometimes get paid more than what you would for working for your own company. So we jumped ahead of that curve and talked to our employees and told them that it was unacceptable. We're an essential business. Unless they feel scared for their life, then they're allowed to take that leave. But luckily, we didn't have to learn that lesson. So I can't really give you any feedback on that, just feedback what I heard from other companies.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you intelligently avoided that, especially by addressing it up front with your team. Well, cool. Steve, what about you guys? Any unexpected lessons learned?
Nothing crazy. I guess it's stuff that you kind of already know, but you put on the back burner. When the economy is good, you tend to be an order taker, and you're just humming along and just doing what needs to be done and fixing things as it comes at you. And when everything kind of hits the fan, you always have to be a little bit more aggressive. You have to be a little bit more of a hunter out there, whether you're, doing your sales, you have to do better follow-up. So, these are all things you should be doing anyway. sometimes you just get so busy with the day-to-day, you either take it for granted or forget it. So I know that, I've been pushing everybody a little bit harder the last month, including myself. Follow-up calls, follow-up emails. Hey, just wanted to reach out, make sure everything's good. I know things are a little crazy right now, but, we have had some people that were, I just put it on the back burner, and you're right. Yeah. Hey, I meant to sign that proposal, send it back. So just being more aggressive and doing more follow-up.
Awesome. Well, hopefully you're leveraging some of the SingleOps functionality to allow you to do that. And we can certainly show you how.
Yes, that they have. Let's put it this way: a few of them have done it.
Well, cool. Well, so all right. Well, we've got one half of the Heritage Lawn and Landscape team, but we appreciate you sticking around. So what about you? Any unexpected lessons learned for you or your business?
I don't know that there's been anything unexpected, like a new lesson, but maybe just a reminder that, the type of industry that we're in, we have factors that we can't control: the weather, a pandemic, government regulation, these types of things. And just that, we can only do the best we can continue to do. And one of the things we want to do is provide excellent service and give great value to our customers while, providing opportunities for our employees to be well taken care of and provided for. So
it's a great point. I think our industry is well equipped to, expect the unexpected. Every year is different with weather, so it's already conditioned to respond to these types of changes. So really good point. All right. Last but not least, Josh, take us home. You will be our last panelist response.
So unexpected lesson learned was the ability of my team to look past all the stuff that's going on around us. So with everybody freaking out, people making a rush on toilet paper, government saying everybody's going to die, close everything, yet my team showing up every day. And, they had a couple guys bring in a bunch of bleach and mix it and had spray bottles and started cleaning trucks every day. So adjusting and making necessary accommodations to try to protect themselves and, continue to push through and come in every day, do what they're supposed to, and, step up and adapt to the new norm for the time being. Was nice to see that, the guys coming in, hey, my wife's friend made all these masks. Here's masks for everyone. People not shaking hands, just, giving elbow bumps or just nodding at each other, just doing the things that needed to be done, and taking it all in stride. I had a couple people that I thought were going to freak out, hey, with all this going on, but then showing up every day and just making minor adjustments to the way they did stuff and keeping everything pushing the way it needed to be. So it was nice to see. It was unexpected, because I looked at us and I'm the biggest conspiracy theory guy, and that all my guys know that. And so people coming up, but making adjustments and then keeping everything moving was nice.
Well, that's great. I think, you can be proud of your team, and a lot of other companies can too. And we're certainly proud of our team at SingleOps. And so celebrating those wins, we always find is important. And so one of the small things we've been doing is a virtual happy hour every week. So we've got our virtual happy hour at 5. They kind of devolve into online drinking games that has happened the last few times. Peyton tends to not do very well in those, for anyone who knows Peyton. But they're fun. And so that's one of the ways we kind of celebrate it, just to kind of let loose as a team. And so definitely recommend, celebrating those wins with your team can be very powerful. So that's it. Anything we didn't touch on, any final advice from any of the panelists that you'd like to share? We covered it all. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for your feedback and for participating. I know our audience really appreciates this. We'll have this recorded and distributed as well. So thank you, everyone in attendance, and best of luck and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.